Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to Mind Your Business podcast. I'm your host, Imran. I'm so excited that you're joining me today. Today we have an incredible episode lined up. We're going to be deep diving into the mindset and the grit um, that it takes to be successful in the business world. Today's guest is Shahid Iqbal, influential part of the Houston community, entrepreneur, business leader, IT guru, and all around great guy.
Just stop right there, Imran.
Come on
That's too
now.
much.
Come on. Come on. So, Chad, thanks for joining us today. Um, a reminder to my listeners, if you enjoyed today's podcast, make sure to subscribe so you can see future podcasts.
Yeah.
Um,
Like
so
and press the bell icon too.
press the bell icon, right? So, Shad, you've had such an interesting journey in the business world. I know as an entrepreneur, in the corporate setting as well. Um, I think diving in, our listeners would really love to learn kind of how you transitioned or balanced both of those worlds throughout your career,
Mm,
or and then just tell us what you're passionate about, so that the audience can kind of maybe get to know you a little bit better.
yeah. No, of course. I'll see what I can do about that. But yeah, I think my business journey started right after my college. In fact, when I was in my final year of my bachelor's degree, I was working at the University of Houston College of Optometry, and I met this wonderful gentleman who was my boss as well. And he used to have a company that I worked for a couple of times. And that's where I first um, got to know how to do business in America. Um, so that really impressed me a whole lot actually. And that was the time of the dot com.
Yeah, I
I'm
remember that
dating
well.
myself, right?
Yeah,
So
you're
that
dating
was
both of
19,
us.
yeah, 1999. So just right after that, I created a .com for myself, asked a couple of my friends to join as contractors, and we were doing business.
Off and running.
Yeah, so 6 months before I graduated, I started a business for myself, and I guess it's been a good, I'd say, 25 years, quarter century that I've been running in different form or shape since then.
That's right. That's right. Um, so what kind of mindset do you think it takes to be successful now that you've kind of experienced both the entrepreneurial, corporate? I think that the biggest thing about this podcast is really that I really like to hit home for my listeners is how do you garner that mindset, the
Mm,
thinking, the skills, the grit, the patience to really propel yourself forward.
yeah, that's a very good question, and it's honestly, Imran, that's a very fundamental question because many a times I came across a point where I was like, enough is enough. The 2008
Hmm.
downturn of the economy that shook me. Even before that, even after that, 7, 8 years after that, things were not very good either. Um, so a lot of times these challenges will make you reposition yourself or reconsider some decisions. So at that time, don't be rigid, I would say. Be flexible.
Flexible,
Be
exactly.
like the tree that can go left and right with the winds. But if you're too rigid, that wind may break that tree,
Break the
right?
tree. Yeah.
So, um, so and when I say that be flexible, I don't mean that be fluffy. Weigh your options, always weigh your option because in business, you are in business to make money, right?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you will make your name also, you will establish your brand and so forth, right, over time. So, so that's what I would say. Be flexible, but be committed. If you commit yourself to something, take it to the nth degree that you think you could,
Hmm.
and If that doesn't make you money or if that doesn't teach you anything, by all means, do something else. You know, you should never stop doing something. You know, um, so I would say in the last 25 years, I have spun off two or three different ventures of business.
No, that's a great point.
Um,
Exactly what I was actually going to ask you
yeah.
next is how does pivoting work? Because I think what you're describing is called pivoting, where
Well, pivoting is critical, Imran, and I'm not saying that it's all going to come from inside of you. Talk to people. You know, find yourself a mentor, confide in a friend or someone, or just discuss it with your family or your
Mhm.
friends. You know,
Yeah,
the most closest to you, people who you have dinner with, people who you know go out with, because you know 2 out of 10 times they will be your first customers, right?
yeah, that's true.
So, so if they're giving you a feedback, um, take that to the heart, and as I said, be nimble, be flexible, and be determined. Um, you as a business person can try two or three different businesses, and you never know. The timing could be right for technology now, but the timing could be right for analysis 10 years from now,
Mhm.
right? So um, learn the market, and that doesn't happen in a day or two or a month or a year. It happens over time. But listen to the news, go find yourself a journal to read, online, offline, educate yourself continuously, and talk to people because people are books, in my opinion.
Yeah,
If you
that's
listen to,
exactly why I want to do this podcast. I
yeah,
110% agree with you. This is I know we've known each other for some time, but that's the best part is of doing this is I hope to get to know all my guests in a different way, right? And
yeah.
what kind of brought them here. So tell me, I think one other thing that this podcast is about is also about grit. It does, like you said just a minute ago, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. How do you fight through those kind of roadblocks, those challenges? Like what makes you just say, you know what, I'm not done. I'm gonna keep fighting the fight.
A lot of times there will be other people telling you this,
That's fair.
because you would feel so defeated. You will feel
Yes.
so lost that other people will try to buck you up, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but but there's no right or wrong answer to that, Imran, and it goes um, by a person's personality as well,
Mm.
right? I am extremely extroverted,
Yes.
uh, and I don't feel any. I'm not shy away. I don't shy away from even things I don't know about, you know.
Yeah.
But but maybe I just know the timing. You know, a lot of times when you don't know about thing and you start talking, if the timing is right, you may fly through that.
Hmm.
If the timing is wrong, you may not be able to fly through that. So, um, yeah, so there's no right or wrong answer. There's no right or wrong time. Um, you as an entrepreneur have to know that you have to find a way out, whether towards profit or whether outside of bankruptcy. You know, on both
Yeah.
sides, you have to pull through it, and that's what makes you an entrepreneur. Because if you are not willing to do that, then by all means, just go and get yourself a 9 to 5 job,
Yeah.
and they'll be happy. You will be happy. Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. Everybody wins. So, if you have any, good stories to share or anecdotes about maybe a time perhaps where there was a failure, either you experienced or you were about to reach a point of failure and you kind of saved the day, so to speak. Maybe a superhero moment that
Mm,
you could
I
share with
wouldn't
us.
say I wouldn't say superhero moment. I
Right.
haven't I haven't experienced that yet, Imran. But I would say that one of the business line that I started many years ago was through junk mail.
Junk mail.
Junk mail,
Really?
yeah. I I just had a habit of reading junk mail back in the days,
Okay.
and and it was an offer, like, you receive offers. And I was like, wow, this is something cool. Maybe I should try. And I tried it. It worked, and I'm still working on it.
Never knew that. Never knew
You
that.
know? So yeah, so it's like somebody's trash is someone's treasure kind of a
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
Um, Other than that, I have convinced other people to get out of a business. I have convinced myself to get out of a business too.
Mm.
Um, Even though the numbers were very good, but the margin was very low, right? Or the operation was too challenging, maybe,
Yeah.
right? Or the product that you are selling may just be good for the 3, 5 years, right?
Yeah, it has a
Um,
it has a timetable.
yeah, there's a timetable to a product, so or a service. And so yeah, I will be closing another business end of this year,
Oh wow.
which is I ran it for 2 years, just didn't find enough in it.
You
So
have traction, right?
yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
pivot and you start doing something else.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I personally with my business, same some of the services weren't selling as well. So pivoted, added some other services, partnered with some other people that
Mhm.
I know can do a fantastic job. Sometimes it's
Yeah,
about finding people that know more than you and partnering with them and realizing, hey, you know what, I can't know
yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Let me find somebody that I can work with.
absolutely.
You know, I don't know everything about IT, but I've partnered with some folks in IT, in finance and accounting. Have an amazing, you know, financial team that can take care of those kind of needs for people. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
Mhm.
Um, what's some of the best business advice you ever received, even if it was early on or lately, or any advice that you maybe have for the audience and the listeners?
I think the best advice I received was to read your competition
Okay,
in no matter where what industry you're in. Know your competition like you know your family, you know,
that's fantastic advice.
because
Yeah,
when you know your competition, only then you will know what your competition is not doing and what the audience is expecting out of your competitor.
right.
And that will give you a way into that industry.
Yeah,
If
and
if
perhaps
you're
some
just
missed opportunities too, right? That they miss and
perhaps
you
some missed
can
opportunities
capitalize
too.
on.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a fantastic way of looking at it. I never thought
Um,
about that.
the second advice I'll give is if you go in a partnership, write it down,
Hmm.
make a contract. Um, Even if it is your brother, sister, friend, college buddy, you know, whoever it may be.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe don't do it as formal as you would, but at least write it down. So 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, a year, 2 year, 5 year,
Mm.
nobody can go back and say, "Oh, I didn't know," or "You didn't
Yeah,
tell me," right?
exactly.
Um, so writing it down really, really helps, and it keeps you focused as well.
It does. Yeah, because
Um,
people understand things a different way too. They may
yeah.
think, okay, hey, I understood it this way. You may like, I understood it this way. And they end up being two totally different things. So I
Hmm.
agree. When you put it on paper, it forces the other person to be like, well, wait a minute. That's kind of not how I understood it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I agree. That's a fantastic way that's very good advice. Very good advice. Anything else that Rashad, you think the listeners would benefit from before we kind of wrap things up? That you feel, you know, along the lines of mindset, grit, determination. It doesn't have to necessarily be entrepreneurial. It can even be in the corporate world. I know you've been in both. So,
Well,
you
yeah, I
know,
think I
yeah,
think one thing from the corporate side I would say is that um, make your personality or present yourself in a way that is non-threatening to people,
okay.
regardless of what level you may be at,
Hmm.
um, regardless of your seniority. If you allow people to grow with you, you will grow even faster.
Okay.
So a lot of time it's a type A personality versus non-type A personality. I
Mm,
think
yes.
that's the way to
Yes.
look at that's the 20 years ago kind of a thing,
Hmm.
in my opinion. Um, right now, what I feel in 2024 is that if you are a team player, you will be recognized and you will be appreciated more than just being a leader, you
Okay.
know. And the best leader, in my opinion, in corporate world is a servant leader.
Servant leader. Okay.
That if time comes, you roll up your sleeves and you start coding with your programmers, or you start moving things from one place to the other. But then at the same time, you look 2, 3 years ahead of time, being a leader, and bring those risks and issues to the surface and make your project successful.
I think that's solid advice. I definitely agree. Rolling up your sleeves, getting in there, helping people out. Good leads to more good. So that's a fantastic way of looking at it. Well, honestly, I can't thank you enough, Shad, for taking out the time. I know you're an extremely busy guy, traveling, working. I know you have your personal projects as well, and family. So again, I thank you very much sincerely from the bottom of my heart and all the listeners. And I'd like to thank all the listeners for tuning in today. If you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe. And we'd love to hear in the comments, share your thoughts on today's talk, about future conversations you'd like to have or other people you'd love to learn from. And be sure to tell others about this podcast. Well, hopefully, we're going to grow together. Again, thanks again for listening. Don't forget to mind your business. And this is your host, Imran, signing off. Have a great day.
Thank you, Imran. Really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you, Shahid.